Can you imagine hearing, "I'm so sorry, but your child has cancer"? Is that a little too frightening to think about? Every day in the UK, 10 children are diagnosed with cancer or leukemia, and 10 families face the fight of their lives. In that moment, when you hear those terrible words, your whole life falls apart.
Phoebe was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Oh God!
My name's Ryan. I'm 18 years old and I was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia when I was 14 years old.
I'm Ben. I was diagnosed with osteosarcoma in October 2014.
Almost 2 years ago, Finn was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
I'm Adam Bromley and I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in August 2013.
Just before my 16th birthday, I relapsed with AML again.
As parents, we protect our children. We love them, we care for them, we look after them, however big or small they are. But with cancer, we are helpless. Now life is focused around daily tests and results.
Children undergo many tests, from chemistry tests, hearing tests, kidney tests.
Treatment can last from anything from 2 to 3 months up to 3.5 years, depending on the child's diagnosis, and the treatment is gruelling.
At the hospital they did these things called beads of courage. Everything that happens to you, whether it's an overnight stay in hospital, that gives you a bead, blood test gives you a bead, anaesthetic gives you a bead. Literally everything you can think of that happens to you in hospital gives you a bead. And we totaled it up and we worked out that I've got over 1,000 beads.
On a daily basis, Finn takes 7 chemotherapy tablets, and on a Friday he has 14, and then we have to have antibiotics at the weekend. So he has a massive cocktail, I think, of about 60 tablets every week.
All patients that are diagnosed within the Wessex region receive their cancer treatment at Pine Brown Ward at Southampton General.
A hospital ward becomes a second home.
The hospital still does feel like a second home to me. Southampton, the nurses are they are like family, and they see you and they clock you straight away and they know exactly who you are, and you think they're dealing with hundreds and hundreds of patients and they still know every single patient's name.
When you're told you're going to be in there for 6 months, I think the way I would describe it is you're being sent to prison and you don't know why. I was very angry actually for the first probably 2 months. I was like, why am I here? You know, why can't I can't go to the toilet when I want, I can't eat when I want.
There's a lot of pain, and there is always a terrible fear.
Obviously the fear that Phoebe could die.
I had to mature quite quickly, obviously, just getting told by consultants and stuff that if the transport doesn't work, that's it, which is obviously, you can't take that as a teenager, you've got to take that as an adult.
She learned a lot of life skills, I think patience, and she's a lot more grown up than other children. She's pretty much near enough a doctor.
And obviously the family was awful. My sister had been diagnosed with cancer a few months earlier and had died, so we were kind of reeling from that. She died in the August and Finn was diagnosed in the October, so that was particularly difficult.
But then you've also got the people who are either still in hospital, so I've got friends that are still in hospital, still having treatment. Then also there's people that you meet that don't make it, and then you end up going to one of your best mate's funerals at 14, which is not like a natural thing to go through.
There is also so much love.
When he was in hospital, the reaction to the chemo drugs, he couldn't walk. He had to learn to walk again, and that was hard. That was one of the very, very low points. Throughout the summer holidays, we went to Shearwater, and I think one afternoon we spent 5 hours with Arch at one point, and me at another, and Finn on a bike. And by the end of that, he was riding the bike, and it was like, yes! To see him getting on the bike and pedalling off down the road is brilliant.
Over this summer I went to Canada and I worked on a summer camp for kids with cancer, which was the best summer of my life, if I'm perfectly honest. That made me decide that I want to go into children's nursing at uni next year. So yeah, and I wouldn't have seen myself doing that. It's just the way it changes you.
It's amazing how families draw strength from each other. It is like one big family. Initially they think they won't cope with how things are, but it's amazing how quickly they learn to adjust. And then within a matter of weeks they're supporting the next new family that comes through the door.
On top of the enormous practical and emotional impact that a cancer diagnosis brings, there is also a huge financial cost. Research shows families spend on average £600 per month when a child has cancer. Parents almost always have to give up or cut down on work.
There's so many other things that you don't realise happen to you along the way. I mean, probably the second biggest one is the financial impact that it has on you, because you know, if you're a mum and you're in hospital, you're not working. Dad is maybe trying to look after another child, keep the house going at home.
This is where the Joe Glover Trust will step in, taking just a little of the strain from a family's shoulders.
The financial impact was quite bad. We're kind of just recovering now, really. Luckily we had some help with family. They kind of gave us a little bit of money to help, but we relied on funding from the Joe Glover Trust.
Joe Glover Trust helped us enormously. They paid our mortgage payment, which was the first payment after Finn was diagnosed. Andy wasn't at work, we had no way of paying it. So they very kindly gave us a donation which covered our mortgage payment for the month. So it was just like, it's one thing that we didn't have to worry about.
Parents worry so much about if they're not able to work, and they worry about where the money is going to come from to pay bills, and the relief on their face when you say we can apply to the Joe Glover Trust for some funds is just, it really does reduce the stress for families. So can't thank the Joe Glover Trust enough for just making the cancer journey a little bit easier for families.
The Joe Glover Trust was set up shortly after 8-year-old Joe died in 2006. His family knew only too well the strain of having a child with cancer and chose to honour his memory by helping other families in the region. Since then, the Trust is proud to have helped hundreds of families across the Wessex region, providing grants for things such as travel costs, extra tuition for children, and sometimes, sadly, with funeral expenses. But the vast majority of the grants are for everyday living expenses. The Joe Glover Trust runs a local Days Out programme. These precious days give families a chance to be together, to escape from everything else going on for just a few hours and create some very special memories.
We went on a day out to Bewley with the Joe Glover Trust, and it was amazing. The traffic stopped for us. That was just fantastic in itself.
There has been good times from it. Going on days out, obviously the Joe Glover Trust, and going to like diversity.
I think that you know, making memories and going out for days and doing things with your family are just one of the best things you can do, and it helps you so much.
The Joe Glover Trust is a small charity and proud to be so. It receives no government funding and keeps costs to a minimum. Without individual and corporate support, it wouldn't survive. Luckily, it has wonderful people fundraising for it, raising money from doing the simple to the extraordinary.
If you are thinking of giving this Joe Glover Trust, then don't even think about it, just do it.
We don't know who everybody is that donates, but it's going to the most amazing place, and we are truly grateful.
They made it easy for us to you know, worry about Phoebe and not worry about the finance.
The Joe Glover Trust needs your support to continue to help children like Phoebe, Finn, Ryan, Adam, Ben, and their families. Hello, my name is Dervla Kerwin, and I am proud to be supporting the Joe Glover Trust, and I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this very important film. Please support this wonderful local charity and give whatever you can, because it really does make a difference. Because until there is a known cure for childhood cancer, there will always be families who need our support. So thank you very much. Because until there is a cure for childhood cancer, there will always be families who need our help. That was my stomach.